Hello everyone, welcome to Agentic RAG from Scratch series. In this series, we'll build a production grade Agentic RAG system step by step. In this video, we'll cover three things. First, we'll look at the project overview and understand exactly what we are building in this series. Next, we'll go through the technology stack used to build the application. Finally, we'll take a walkthrough of the code base and understand how the project is structured. Once again, welcome to Building SaaS channel and let's get started. We will start by learning how to interface with large language models. In this tutorial, we'll use Claude, but the concepts apply to any LLM. Next, we'll add conversation capabilities to our application so that we can maintain context across the interactions. After that, we'll explore the knowledge base layer where we'll understand how the document embedding works and why they are essential for retrieval augmented generation. We will then dive into memory management and context engineering, which are critical for building reliable AI systems. Once the fundamentals are in place, we'll introduce tool calling, allowing the LLMs to interact with external systems. From there, we'll build our first agent and explore important agent design concepts such as human in the loop workflows, intelligent routing, sub-agents, skills, custom workflows using LangGraph. We'll then introduce model context protocol concepts and integrate our agent with an MCP server. Finally, we'll deploy the entire application to AWS, making it production ready. For the backend, we'll be using Python with FastAPI framework. For frontend, we'll use React, tiled with Tailwind CSS and Shard.cn components. To implement agentic workflows, we'll be using LangChain library. For the language model, we'll use Claude Sonnet 4.6. However, the architecture we build will be model agnostic, meaning you can easily switch to any model supported by LangChain. Our database will be PostgreSQL, which we'll use for both relational data and vector storage. For deployment, we'll use Docker containers and deploy our application to AWS using Fargate. To manage the code base effectively, we'll set up a monorepo that contains both frontend and backend in the same repository. For package management, we'll use UV for Python dependencies and PNPM for managing our frontend packages. Now that we understand the overall project, let's look at the code base structure. We have already set up the base folder structure for this project. At the root of the repository, we have two main directories, backend and frontend. Backend folder contains the entire code base for our API layer, which is built using FastAPI. Frontend folder contains the React application, which will provide the user interface for interacting with the agent. Let's start by looking at the backend. Inside the backend directory, the first file we see is main file. This file acts as the entry point for our FastAPI server. It is responsible for initializing the FastAPI application and configuring the server. Typically, this file contains things like creating the FastAPI instance, registering API routes, configuring middleware, setting up cores, and starting the server. Next, we have API folder. This folder contains all the routes and endpoints exposed by our backend service. Each endpoint will handle a specific function of our application, such as receiving user queries, processing requests, and returning response from the AI system. Next, we have the config folder. This folder is responsible for application configurations and environment settings. Inside the folder, we have a file called settings.py. Settings.py file is used to centralize all the configuration values for the application. This typically includes database connection strings, API keys, model configuration, environment variables, application level settings. Instead of hard coding these values throughout the code base, we define them in a single place. Next, we have core folder. The core folder contains shared components that are used across the entire application. These are usually low-level infrastructure utilities that support the main business logic. Inside the folder, we have a file middleware.py. Middleware allows us to intercept the requests and response before they reach the API endpoints. As of now, we only have cores enabled for our UI to interact with it. Next, we have service folder. Service layer contains the core business logic of the application. Instead of placing all the logic directly inside the API routes, we separate it into service classes and modules. This helps keep the code clean, modular, and easy to maintain. Inside this folder, we have chat service.py. Chat service file is responsible for handling the chat interaction logic with the LLM. We will dive deeper into this file in the coming tutorial. Let's look at the pyproject.toml. This file contains all the dependencies that are required for our application. As you can see, we have FastAPI, LangChain, Anthropic, and Python.dev as dependencies already installed in our application. Now let's take a look at the front-end application. A front-end is created using Vite, which provides a fast and modern development environment for React. We are also using React Router to manage navigations within the application. Inside the front-end project, we have components folder. This folder contains all the reusable UI components used across the application. Next, we have the pages folder. This is where we define the different pages and views for the application. At the moment, we only have a single page called AI page. This page contains a simple input field where user can submit a message, which will then send a request to Backend API. In the next episode, we'll look at how the front end actually integrates with Backend and how we send user queries to API and receive response from AI system. That's it for episode 1. We have set up the entire project structure and walked through the code base. In the next episode, we'll connect the front end and back end and start interacting with our AI systems using LangChain. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Building SaaS channel for more content on building real world AI systems. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.